I'm gonna give you 3 tips to hack increasing your speed in the shot put, and we're gonna start right now. When we're looking at throwing the shot, we have to think about being in a 7-foot circle. We have essentially the 7 feet to accelerate that implement as much as possible. We can try to make that pathway a little bit longer, but inside of that pathway, we have to be able to understand how to control that speed and how to increase that speed. And so there's a couple key factors when we're looking at the rotational shot put. One of those main factors is, what is our right leg doing? Our right leg is pushing. We want to think push around that left side. And I'm going to be coaching as though we're all right-handed throwers. Lefties, you guys are smarter than us and you can flip this. So we want to think about pushing that right leg around. And one thing that everybody tends to do is we tend to sweep, especially high school athletes, with this knee. So we want to focus on pushing here, getting this knee away from the left knee, okay? Get the right knee away from the left knee and sweep wide. But that's not part of this hack. The hack that we're going to be focusing on is how to get the left leg faster. This is one of the, if not the hardest thing to do in the rotational shot put, is to increase the speed of the non-dominant leg. If we have an aggressive right leg and we have a left leg that has about 85 to 90% of that speed from the right leg, we are going to throw extraordinarily far. And that's one of the big concepts that Joe Kovacs does really well. That's one of the big concepts that Val Allman does very well. That's a great concept that Ryan Krauser does very well. We have to be able to get this left leg faster. Now, that's where these 3 key hacks are gonna come into play. We're gonna start with this first key aspect. The first aspect around the left leg is, how is your foot position out of the back? If we look at athletes that struggle with a really, really late left leg, the reason why that left leg is going to bucket very deep is because they're late off of the left foot. The reason why they're late off of the left foot could be multiple different reasons, but typically the first thing that you can do is look at the foot position. If we are sitting here and opening, okay, we want to open with that left heel elevated. So we want this left heel to stay elevated. It doesn't need to be super plantar flex here. We just need that heel to stay up, and as we push around, that will help us open without any inhibition. We don't want that left heel to drop, because if that left heel drops, typically what happens is this left hip will fall in and then we fall into the circle. So we need that left heel to stay elevated enough to get that right knee wide around that left knee, so that enables us to rotate smoothly. So that first key step is to elevate that heel, keep it set. You don't need to get super high. You don't want to be super low. You want to be somewhere in the middle and let that rotate nice and controlled as the right leg gets wide. That second key hack is something that I've stolen directly from the sprinters world. If we're watching the best 100-meter sprints, and if we watch the best sprinters come out of the block, or if we watch them plant on their first, second, third step, the ankle that is leading is typically going to be very stable. It's going to be rigid. And what that does is it provides a nice platform to drive from. There's a slight difference. They are driving forward in a cyclical motion. We are sweeping forward and still driving off of that left foot, but there's more rotation. Now, the key concept here is we need a rigid ankle. We need to be stiff in that ankle. And what I want to see is that as this heel is in that mid-range and it's elevated, we need it to be stiff, okay? So that as we open and we push wide, this heel doesn't drop. We want to sweep forward and not have it drop. You see, I just dropped that there. We want to keep this rigid, go forward. If we see that left heel drop, typically we will drop in with that left hip. So we want to set this, get wide, hold and go. If it's not rigid, we lose energy. If we lose energy, we're slower. If we keep it stiff, we come off of it faster. Think about that start position for Usain Bolt. When he strikes the first time, second time, third time, that ankle is rigid. That maintains elasticity, which then can be transferred back into his body. For throwers, it's very similar. We need to set the heel, keep that ankle rigid. That's gonna help us get off of that left faster. Now, that third key hack This is going to be based around what we're doing off of the left leg. We need to make sure we understand what our left hip is doing and our left knee. If we watch Alex Rose throw 70 meters, what we see is he gets a wide right leg and his left knee stays in line with the center of the sector. The reason being is because he pushes wide with the right and he holds this position, pushes this gets set. He's got a rigid, stiff ankle. He holds this left knee stiff and goes forward. So I like to think about as we sweep wide with that right leg, the knee will hold directly in the middle of the sector. That will help us set that hip. It'll help us set that knee. The right foot will then ground exactly where that left knee is pointing. One of the biggest things that we see with people with a slow left leg, other than that heel dropping and other than not having that rigid ankle, is that the left knee will open too much. And if I'm coming out of the back of the circle, it'll look like this. So my left knee is pointing this way instead of pointing dead center, coming off. So we want to think, set the ankle, keep it rigid, and we might have a little bit of a push, a slight push from the foot. That's why we do our PVC pipe walk. And we want to hold that knee dead center. If we hold that knee dead center, that helps us get wider forward. We don't want this to keep down. The longer that stays down, the more rotation we'll have from that left leg, and we don't want that. One final bonus hack. Typically, I would recommend, especially in the shot, I think it's a little different in the discus, but in the shot, if you watch Joe Kovacs, Josh Awatunde, Ryan Krauser, typically I would recommend don't let your left foot get super high to your butt. Keep that left foot maybe just in line with your knee joint, so as you sweep to the middle and you get off that rigid left, don't let your left foot get much higher than here. Some people do go up over top. I don't believe that's the best way to do it, and I believe that that leads to more rotation and it grounds faster, so that's that little bonus hack. If we're trying to get faster off that left foot, set the heel, keep that ankle rigid, think about what we talked about with sprinters, and then make sure that that left knee is not over rotating. Those are 3 easy things that you can try and practice, you can try and drill, and you can try and implement into your training today. If you guys need help with your training, head over to throwsuniversity.com. You can pick up a training program or technical analysis so that we can help you drop some bombs. Until next time, peace.